the London School of Economics and Political Science. He joins us now from Cambridge in the UK. Good to have you back with us, Professor. A lot of anticipation over Rishi Sunak's first Prime Minister's questions in the UK Parliament. That's due to begin later on Wednesday. What are you expecting?
Well, good morning, Oscar. I think we're expecting to see a return to a degree of common sense and stability in government in the UK, which has been lacking since the early part of this year when the Boris Johnson administration was starting to disintegrate. It's now clear that the Conservative Party realises it made the wrong decision in appointing Liz Truss. If you recall, she was appointed by the members of the party and not by the members of Parliament. This time it's the members of Parliament who made the decision, and it's clear that they have come together to back Rishi Sunak. I think a more provocative way of putting it is to say that the adults are back in the room.
That's right. He's also formed his new cabinet. Some are describing it as somewhat of a unity cabinet, appointing both loyalists and those who have opposed him in the past. Do you think that will work in terms of uniting the divided Conservative Party?
But it certainly overcomes the mistake made by both Johnson and Truss, which was to appoint only their own supporters. When you appoint only your own supporters and you have a party that's been in power for 12 years, you know that there's going to be a lot of opponents on the other side of the divide, and those opponents are going to agitate against you. So yes, it's clever politics by Sunak to try to bring together the more competent ministers and to give them the responsibility to get on with things. Having said that, they clearly face enormous challenges, and while it's fine to put in place the right team, fine to say that you now have the support of the party as a whole, it doesn't solve the problems facing the British economy and country as a whole.
Yes, let's talk about those problems, because a lot has been made about Rishi Sunak's so-called in-tray financial and economic crisis, as well as an energy crisis, soaring power bills and the cost of living. Where does he even begin to address those myriad of issues?
Well, top of the list has to be the cost of living. There was already, under the Truss government, a proposal put forward to cap energy prices. That has a double benefit because it cushions the impact on households and on businesses, but it also reduces the headline rate of inflation, which is one of the big consequences of the rising energy prices. So that makes sense. What already happened before Truss resigned was that instead of it being a 2-year commitment, it was reduced to a 6-month commitment to be reviewed sometime in the spring. Obviously, being in the spring, it's after the peak demand for energy. So there is room there to make it a more targeted policy rather than one which benefits everybody. That helps the public finances, which is the second big question, because you cannot simultaneously cut taxes, raise public expenditure, and not have higher debt. And that's the stone on which the Truss government crashed. Then you have to recognise that in the background there is a problem. Second priority for the Truss government will be to do something about the problems in the British National Health System, which has a 7 million waiting list. That waiting list means more people are sick and therefore not available to work. So we have a strange position of a country which is on the verge of recession, and yet which has almost no unemployment because many people have withdrawn from the labour force rather than being made unemployed.
Yes, and perhaps his brief stint as Chancellor of the Exchequer may help him in that massive task ahead of him. For now, Professor Iain Begg, appreciate your analysis as always. Thank you.